You will be mine.
Peter says under his breath to a woman who can't hear him. It's nearly sunset, and the sky is deep blue, while the clouds to the west are as orange as the fall leaves. Peter Walmond is a skinny, pale young man in a Metallica t-shirt. He stands between a row of hemlock bushes and a small stretch of hardwood trees. Peter looks through binoculars across the street in a nearly full parking lot at the literal woman of his dreams, Chloe Atwell. She's a dark-haired beauty wearing a cloth mask with the Helix Nebula on it, a violet Henley shirt that hangs loose on her, and cargo pants. Her skin is the color of an Alejandra peach rose. There's a nearly empty U-Haul trailer attached to Chloe's black Hyundai Elantra, and a 16-foot U-Haul parked next to it. She leans down into the back of the trailer, picks up a short stack of boxes, puts them on the ground, and pulls the door closed. Chloe picks the boxes back up and walks toward her new apartment building. She stops in front of the door and looks back at her car. She puts the boxes down again so she can fish her keys out of her pocket and lock her car with 2 beeps. Here in Hickson, a quaint suburb of Chattanooga, Tennessee, you have to worry about people breaking into your car more than in her hometown of Red Clay. Peter groans, and he scratches the short blonde hair on the back of his head. Looking through the contents of Chloe's car while enjoying her smells was one of his favorite activities back home. After Chloe awkwardly maneuvers past the front door with her stack of boxes, Peter pushes a button on the binoculars, turning the video recording feature off, and he gingerly puts his binoculars down. He sits next to a full black backpack. A rustling in the bushes precedes the arrival of a long-haired white alley cat with matted fur. Peter pays the cat no mind and sits back to open his laptop. It loads his main screen, a picture of himself with Chloe from their senior year of high school. They were on their first and, thus far, only date. Inside an Olive Garden, with their breadsticks on the table between them, Peter's smiling as widely as he can, and Chloe's trying to smile. Peter moves the cursor over one of dozens of icons. This one marked Clear Vision. He reaches into his backpack and pulls out a heavy portable charger and 2 cords tangled together with the end of a silk rope. The alley cat steps up to Peter's binoculars and paws at them.
Shoo!
Peter snaps, and he kicks at the feline. The cat hisses and runs off. Behind Peter and the bushes, he hears a car slowly drive up the street. Peter mostly untangles the cords, plugs the binoculars into the charger with one, and connects the binoculars to his laptop with the other. He places the end of rope back in his bag. A car door slams in the parking lot. Peter navigates the Clear Vision menu and clicks on Upload. Footsteps cross the street toward Peter. He freezes, holding his breath. There's rustling in the bushes. Whatever it is, it's much too large to be a cat. At least any cat you can find in the suburbs. Peter holds perfectly still. Someone honks in the distance. The young woman named Chloe Atwell steps out of her new apartment building when her phone starts playing I Like That by Janelle Monáe. The soft voices and softer music fade in waves. Chloe takes off her Helix Nebula mask, puts it in her pocket, and answers the phone. The phone stops playing, but Chloe still hears it in her head as she smiles and says,
"Hey Dakota, how's it going?"
Chloe's phone says.
I couldn't complain if I was allowed to.
Chloe's brow furrows, and her lips part slightly in an expression of bemusement.
That's good, I think. What's up?
Not much.
Dakota says.
On a 15. Just wishing I could have been available to help you move. How's that going?
Dad just left a little while ago. There's just a couple boxes left. I kind of wish I hadn't paid for another day.
She looks toward the west and the setting sun.
Although it would be cutting it extremely close if I tried to bring the U-Haul back now.
Dakota asks.
Any job prospects yet?
One.
Chloe says.
Although, I'm worried.
About what?
Chloe sighs.
I kind of fudged the part of my resume about how my last job ended.
Dakota says.
Well, you had very good reason. I'm sure it'll amount to nothing. Oh, shit. I've got to go. We just had a school bus pull into the restaurant, and it's all swabs on deck. Enjoy your fresh start. I'll text you later.
Chloe says.
Bye, Dakota.
But her phone's already disconnected. She looks at it and chuckles softly, shaking her head. Chloe steps up to her car, singing softly to herself.
Oh me, oh me, oh me, am I.
Her pitch rises.
I like that.
A pale old lady on the first floor opens her window and lets her tiny black kitten out. Chloe's slight grin turns into a frown as she stops in front of her car. Out loud, Chloe asks herself.
What am I going to do if I can't find a job?
She pulls her car keys out of her pocket and unlocks the doors. The cat strolls up to Chloe, stopping only to stretch its hind legs. And then it proceeds toward the newcomer. Chloe looks down at the tiny feline and says,
Well, hello, kitty. What's your name?
The black kitten has almost imperceptible color variations, handfuls of white hairs amidst the dark, and nearly black-brown stripes. It has no collar. The cat meows in the softest, most adorable kitten voice imaginable. Chloe turns around at the sensation of something touching the back of her leg. A larger white cat with matted fur rubs against her calf. Chloe kneels down to pet them, but stops and stands up straight. She pulls her mask out of her pocket and puts it back on before she kneels back down.
I shouldn't be contagious anymore.
Chloe says in a higher pitch, petting the cats with both hands.
But I'd hate to give you COVID. Yes, I would.
She takes a closer look at the white cat and says in her normal voice.
I hope you don't give me fleas.
As she continues petting the cats, Chloe wonders aloud.
Should I change my resume and just tell the whole ugly truth?
The black cat meows in response, and Chloe says,
You're right, everyone lies on their resume.
Somewhat damaged by 9-inch nails plays over Chloe's phone from the start of the lyrics. So impressed with all you do, tried so hard to be like you. An ominous guitar riff of 4 scaling notes barely comes through over the almost mechanical sound of the drum. Chloe pulls her phone out of her pocket and says,
Hello, this is Chloe Atwell.
Hello.
Chloe's phone says.
Can I speak to Chloe Atwell?
Chloe blinks and restrains a sigh.
Speaking.
She replies while taking her mask off. The cats rub up against her pant legs.
Hello, Miss Atwell. This is Dr. Phoebe Cirillo at Chattanooga PCP. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm well. The reason I'm calling is to ask you a couple questions about your application.
Chloe swallows and says,
Okay.
Where it asks why you left your last employer, it just says, moving, but that was a month ago, and I see that the date of the move is today's date. I was wondering if there is more to the story.
Chloe takes a deep breath and says,
I had a stalker back in Red Clay, and he made things complicated.
Oh. Well, can you come in for an interview tomorrow at 9:30?
Chloe's eyes light up, and in a joyful tone, she exclaims,
Yes. Absolutely.
Good.
Dr. Cirillo says in a tone that doesn't sound like she thinks it's so great.
I'll see you then.
Thank you.
Chloe says, but her phone's already disconnected. She looks at her phone and frowns. That could have gone better. Still, she has her first interview. Chloe raises her tone again and says,
See you later, kitties.
and she steps over them to the front door as a vaguely familiar, extremely handsome man with copper skin and a black mask, black long-sleeved t-shirt, and jeans steps out, then back in to hold the door for her.
Thanks.
She says, stepping over the threshold and into the green and gold-striped hallway. The man says,
De nada.
and he steps out, letting the door close behind him. In her apartment, a white-walled one-bedroom unit with a contemporary floor plan. An alarm keypad has a sticky note underneath it. The numbers 5475 are written on it. The kitchen counters are all covered in boxes, so Chloe sets a wine glass down on the gas stove and pours a celebratory glass of Moscato. As she sips her drink, she walks into the living room. She pushes the couch up against the wall and nudges a little round table up against it. Chloe unbuttons the strap that keeps her yellow curtains open and takes another drink. She sighs and puts her glass down on the table next to the couch.
I can't live in fear forever.
She says, and she opens the curtains back up. The sky is lit by the last of the sun's rays to the southwest, and the city lights beneath it. A cool breeze gives Chloe goosebumps as she opens the door to her Elantra. She pauses, realizing she never unlocked it, so she must not have locked it after the call from Dr. Cirillo. Chloe glances inside. The last 2 medium-sized boxes are in the back seat. Her blue sweatshirt is on the floor on the passenger side. Her wallet is inside the cup holder between the seats. Chloe shakes her head.
I need to do better.
She snatches the wallet and puts it in her back pocket. Chloe considers making 2 trips, or leaving one of the boxes behind and grabbing it tomorrow. She says. She stacks one on top of the other and picks up the boxes. The truck speeds by on lifts. It's black with a deep purple racing stripe. The force of it driving past blasts her with wind. 2 enormous brass testicles swing on the hitch.
Hey!
She shouts after it.
Children live here! I imagine.
Chloe closes the car door with her foot and carries the last of the boxes toward her apartment. She trips, but catches herself as the white cat growls and hisses. Chloe says,
Sorry, kitty.
and proceeds inside. After a few moments, Chloe opens the doorway with the boxes on the floor behind her, and she pushes a button on her car key. The car beeps twice. A door slams as Chloe walks up the stairwell. A voice says,
How did I lose track of the time?
Chloe takes the last few steps up and walks out into the hall. The handsome, familiar man who held the door for her earlier rushes down the hall. Chloe backs up around the corner and puts her back against the wall, making what room she can for her oncoming neighbor. As Chloe's neighbor barrels around the corner, Chloe presses herself as flat against the wall as she can. The man catches sight of her just before he collides with the boxes in her hands. Chloe maintains her grip on the bottom box, but the one on top slips off and falls to the floor and down the stairs. Something inside it crunches. The man says,
I am so sorry.
He takes 2 steps at a time down the stairs. Chloe puts the box in her hands down and follows the man, who picks up the fallen box and hands it up to her. He pulls his phone out to check the time and says,
I've got to run, sorry.
Chloe takes the box back up the stairs and puts it down on the other box. She opens the top. The china her grandmother left to her is shattered. Chloe huffs and looks down the stairwell. Inside her apartment, Chloe sets the boxes down on top of her stove, next to the wine bottle. She takes the one off the top and puts it on the laminate floor next to her trash can. She sits cross-legged in front of the trash can and opens the box. Chloe picks up a piece of the top plate and yells, "Oh!" She drops it and looks at her hand. A drop of blood trickles out of the cut on the pad of her index finger. She sticks it in her mouth. Chloe sighs and stands up. She walks to the stove, grabs the bottle of Moscato, and carries it into the living room. She looks out the window. The 16-foot U-Haul pulls out of the parking lot. She narrows her eyes on the truck as it goes down the street and pulls her phone from her pocket to glance at the time.
He is not going to make it.